So they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So
what? Yeah, now this right here, yeah, this is getting pretty crazy. So Letitia James right now is a criminal referral has been sent to the DOJ. Letitia James claiming that she has falsified records in order to meet lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. Does this sound familiar? And it's pretty crazy because she's nowhere to be found right now, even though when you look at Letitia James' history on X, she's known for posting stuff like this, right? No one's above the law, right? No one's above the law, as you can see right here. At all, right? No one is above the law, says Letitia James. In fact, there's videos, and I'm going to show you the breakdown of what charges she may be facing and how soon Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, they're going to move on this because this is pretty big, right? This is what they were afraid of. This is why I feel they did not want Trump to win, but this was, she's nowhere to be. This energy is nowhere to be found. The AG, Letitia James, nowhere to be found.
That simple but fundamental pillar of our democracy, that the rule of law applies to all of us equally, fairly, and justly. That simple but fundamental.
There you go. There you go. Right. This is how bad is it? Like this is getting bad. All right. And a lot of people have been waiting for this. And it's crazy because she's about to be charged the same thing that she tried to charge Donald Trump with. Remember, when Trump was running for president, like this was a story, right? This was a story that they were going to take all his assets in New York, even though they were not successful. They lost the election. And now big Letitia James is in trouble. Let's take a listen.
And now the Trump Justice Department may be a pain in her you-know-what. The Angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He cited a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that
No, not Letitia James. No. Oh, man.
She claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get a different type and more favorable loan. Joining me now is Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and law professor at GW University. Jonathan, mortgage fraud is rampant in the United States. There's all sorts of fraud that's rampant. There's disability fraud that they've vowed to crack down on in the Trump administration. But this is another thing that they have vowed to crack down on because it costs real money. Your reaction to these allegations?
Well, obviously, the irony is perfectly crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. And among the charges that were brought in New York, in not just the civil but the criminal case, was making false or misleading statements to financial institutions. And one of these sections, Section 1014, of the federal code, is prosecuted. It took me about 60 seconds of a search to find cases that the Department of Justice brought against people who falsely claimed that property.
Oh, so this is going to be easy for Pam. Pam Bondi is going to be put to the test here. You got to move in on this, right? You got to move in on this. And it just gives me so many flashbacks to the election, man. Like pre-election, obviously. When we were covering this all, we were going day by day, and there were these charges being brought, and how big of a pain Letitia James was, along with Alvin Bragg, and how New York, was just all against Donald Trump. And man, I just remember how bad it was at that point. And now we finally get a letter. And again, Jonathan Turley says here that these are cases that get tried, right? And this is enough proof brought in the letter of referral to the DOJ. This is enough Pam Bondi's going to be put to the test here. Is she going to do it?
Was their principal residence in order to get loans. So this is well tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we applied Letitia James' standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So
what? No.
There's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court just stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements. These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or it's not.
Or it's not.
Either you're married to your father or he's your father. So they can this can satisfy the Thompson standard.
Yeah, well, Jonathan, we reached out to the DOJ, and they have no comment on this referral. We also reached out to Attorney General James, who did not respond to us either. So again, everyone wants the best interest rate you can get. I understand that. But, she's a lawyer. She knows that when you sign a mortgage application, that mortgage application, if you're borrowing money, if you're not borrowing money, nobody cares whether it's your principal residence, except, where you file your taxes. But she decided to state that that was her principal residence, knowing it was not her principal residence. I didn't even know she had property. I mean, I guess.
Yo, this is crazy stuff. They married to her father? No.
She had property in Virginia and she has rental or investment property in New York. That's fine. But in the New York matter, to get the favorable rate, the building could only have 4 units. But it looks like the entirety of this building, it had 5 units, meaning it was in violation of the actual loan agreement. And again, this is not a novel application of the law, Jonathan. As you stated during the persecution of Donald Trump, she was using all these novel applications of law to go after him. This isn't novel. This is a black and white issue. You either did.
Yeah, this is as simple as it gets. Yeah, this is an alley-oop for the DOJ right here. And this is why you don't see, again, Jasmine Crockett. I don't even know what Jasmine Crockett is, right? You don't see Letitia James being loud mouths anymore because things are starting to get real. And remember, they were going through every legal loophole to basically charge Trump and make it very difficult for him. But this seems like again, Laura Ingraham said, a very black and white issue, right? So seems like this is an alley-oop, and I'd like to see action over action over action because, again, we're talking about somebody who claims that nobody's above the law, including herself. And boy, oh boy, if the proof is in the pudding the way it seems like it is, then we are looking at a very lengthy criminal charge that will be televised the same way Trump's was televised, and we're going to be all on it. We're going to be in it. We're going to be all on it. Big Tish James. Crazy. Big shock. This is all over the internet, by the way. This is all over the place. And it's just not a good time to be a Democrat, especially if you went after Trump. If you're going after people, right? If your whole basis is going after people and holding up the law, and that's your job, that's what you were elected to do, and you're doing that, and you're doing this mortgage fraud, potentially marrying your dad on paper, that's absolutely crazy. And this is not the first scandal that she's involved in, but this might be the first one that gets the real traction, and maybe you'll see criminal charges from the DOJ. So again, shocking news. It brings me back to a place and time when we were all going through it and we were all like, man, what is happening? All these charges. She was responsible for a lot of that. And yeah, now we're going to see what's going on. We're going to see now what the DOJ is really made of, because many people have been asking for arrest of these wild, loose goose Democrats. So is this going to be the first one? At least criminal charges, at least cases being opened, at least, action being made, especially if action is being required. We'll see. We'll see what the case is. Make sure to smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen.